like this one. This was from Dmitri in San Diego. He goes, "Hey, Joe, where can I get federal and California state tax forms? Can I take the standard deduction on federal forms and itemize on California state forms?" So that's interesting, and I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Because there's the new tax reform, and then it's like, all right, well, Dimitri's thinking, maybe I filed the standard deduction because I have certain deductions that I had last year that I itemized that I won't be able to do on the federal return. But wait a minute, what does California, does that conform with the same as federal tax?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the first one, really quickly, all you have to do is type in IRS tax forms, California tax forms, and you'll find the sites. You can get to any form you want to. A lot of the 2018 forms are already out, but not all of them. So some of those will come later. But the second question, maybe the little deeper question, is itemizing. And so just maybe a little background, Joe. So an itemized deduction is otherwise personal expenses that the IRS allows you to deduct against your income. So you pay taxes on taxable income after those deductions. And so it's typically it's state taxes, property taxes, mortgage interest, charity, things like that. And so you add all those together, and then you compare your total against what's called the standard deduction, and you get to deduct the higher of the two. So this year with the new Tax Act, the standard deduction is much higher. It's about twice as much as it was the year before. And so what's happening is then a lot of people that used to itemize on the federal return because their real deductions were higher will no longer do that. They'll use the standard deduction. And the question is, do I have to use the standard deduction for state? The answer is no. You can itemize for one and use the standard deduction for another, or vice versa. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people will still be itemizing on the state return because the state of California did not conform to the federal the Tax Act, right? So, and that's typical. The state of California hardly ever conforms to the Federal Tax Act. So when you look at California law, for example, and your state may be different, may be similar, but when you look at California law where we're at, it's a whole mixture of prior federal laws, some of which were conformed years ago, and then lots of the new laws were not conformed. And it's tricky, but you think about it. So on the federal return, you can only deduct $10,000 for state taxes and property taxes. The state did not conform. Now you cannot deduct state taxes on the state return, but you can deduct as much as you want in property taxes. That's still true. Miscellaneous itemized deductions is gone for federal purposes. It's still there for state. So if you have unreimbursed job expenses or tax prep fees or financial planner fees or investment management fees, those are still deductible on the state return.
So you got to do taxes nowadays.
It's not as simple as it would
Right.
seem, right?
You know, all right. So this is the old law, but we're still applying the old law to California. And I'm sure you have to check your state.
Yeah.
You know, whatever state that you live in, because did they conform or not to conform? Because you could be leaving money on the table there. Let's say if you do your own return, you know,
right,
by hand, I guess TurboTax would help you with that. But you just want to be careful to make sure that, all right, did my state conform with the tax reform or the Tax and Jobs Act? And what did they or did not conform with?